Hello, everybody. I hope you all are having a wonderful day so far, and thank you so much for tuning into this month's webinar. I'm Gary Wang, Product Marketing Manager here at Hillstone Networks, and I am joined today by Li Chun, Technical Marketing Manager at Hillstone Networks. Before we get started, we have a couple of housekeeping items that we always go through. During the presentation, you are invited to type any questions you may have in the Q&A box. All of these questions will be addressed at the end of the presentation during the Q&A section. Finally, this webinar will be recorded and the on-demand link will be posted to our website where you can visit to rewatch. Today, we will discuss how the Hillstone NDR solution, SBDS, can help build resilience in your cybersecurity scheme, beginning from your critical servers and databases. Now, obviously, we are aware of the Intranet and the countless vulnerabilities that exist and the countless threats that are lurking, waiting for their opportunities. However, what about as it pertains to the intranet, aka the internal network of an enterprise? The surface there is a lot more vulnerable than we realize and is a lot larger than we realize, especially as it pertains to larger sized enterprises. As such, there is a dire need to secure this space. We will begin today's webinar by discussing two high-level reasons explaining why there are so many vulnerabilities in the intranet space. Then, we'll go through an introduction of the server breach detection system, which is Hillstone's NDR solution. After, we'll share the new features brought on by SBDS version 3.5, followed by a use case. Finally, we'll close with a short demo video on the SBDS capabilities to talk about the vulnerabilities of the intranet. Reason 1, the complexity and the volume of threats. Signatures have long been the name of the game in terms of how we can stop exact and specific threats. However, with different types of threats evolving and disguising themselves at a rapid rate, just pure signature-based protection will only suffice as a first line of defense, and to be honest, a relatively weak one at that. Due to the spear and shield inevitability of AI-leveraged attack and defense systems, intelligent methods, in addition to intelligence, are needed to stop the more sophisticated attacks. Reason 2, threats can move laterally very easily in internal networks because systems and policies like zero trust or microsegmentation are not often present in internal networks. Such threats could either be initiated from outside the network or, more troubling, even initiated from within, possessing the properties of an insider threat. Internal users may either possess malicious intentions themselves, or they could be vulnerable to phishing or other forms of attacks such as reverse shells, where internal users download malicious code that can attack from within the compromised host and then communicate back to external users. Once one asset has been compromised, it is not difficult for these threats to proliferate in the oftentimes flat and level surface of the intranet. Let's walk through how these vulnerabilities can potentially be exploited and how attackers can compromise internal networks, databases, and servers. Say the process is initiated when an internal user is surfing the internet and is subject to phishing. As a result of successful phishing, command and control is enacted, and the hacker is able to take control of the host. One thing to note here is that phishing may not always be detected by antivirus programs, because as mentioned earlier, the traditional method of stopping threats is through signature-based detection. A threat could potentially fudge its signature to bypass active security protocols. Now back to the process. When this host has been compromised, the attacks can continue to compromise more hosts within the intranet by, for example, sending fake internal email messages. Emails coming from an internal user are more likely to be opened because inherently, users are likely to trust emails from a trusted source. When many hosts have been compromised, an attacker can launch DDoS, for example, which would result in server or firewall breakdowns, wreaking havoc across the internal network. As a result, business-critical processes will be affected negatively, and the network and business will stall. This is where Hillstone's NDR solution, SBDS, can come into play. When there is a problem, there is a solution to that problem. Hillstone's NDR solution SBDS, which is also known as the I-Series Server Breach Detection System, can help with these problems. SBDS can detect and mitigate advanced threats targeting critical assets. It can do this because of its through-and-through process, from detection to visibility, forensics, and mitigation, all within one product. Let's begin with the detection capabilities of SBDS. Due to the breadth and depth it can cover, it helps build resilience in a cybersecurity scheme. During detection, SBDS is able to perform abnormal behavior detection, advanced threat detection, and is also able to detect application layer attacks, which means being able to detect and stop, for example, the OWASP top 10 threats. Through this comprehensive detection capability, SBDS is effectively able to provide layer 2 to layer 7 protection, greatly building the resilience of your critical server protection strategy. Through behavior detection, a baseline model of normal behavior is built. And when behavior deviating too far from the baseline is detected, it can be flagged and remediated. For advanced threat detection, SBDS takes known malware samples, learns its behavior of the overall malware family and type, and can use this knowledge to identify future unknown malware variants. This helps build a security scheme that is adaptable for the future and able to act quickly, regardless what layer and what level the threats are coming in from. On top of these levels of detection, SBDS is able to perform threat correlation analysis, allowing it to elevate its detection efficacy levels and lower the amount of false positives that are generated. In the world of complex threats that we live in, it is more important than ever to have a quick and efficient post-breach mitigation strategy. And the information SBDS can provide through its comprehensive detection capability will help greatly with that. Next up, the visibility portion, which can be related to the C part of the road towards security that works. In order for a security team to be able to react quickly and efficiently, granular visibility is needed. This granular level of visibility, mixed in with threat correlation analytics, makes it much easier for the system to discover indicators of compromise, which are important for security admin to determine what actions to take next. When it comes to Hillstone's NDR, SBDS has all sorts of dashboards and displays that can be viewed. For example, there's a global view of intranet threats, which displays the overview of critical servers and hosts, along with the corresponding risk levels associated with said assets. In addition to risk level, it can display which assets specifically are currently at risk. Below that, there is a section on statistics as it pertains to threat type and historical distribution of said threats. The map that displays threats by location gives a visualistic perspective on where the threats are at any given moment in time. Finally, there is a section denoting hot events that the user may want to be on high alert for at this moment in time. Here is the dashboard view of server threat monitoring, where it shows the direction and severity of attacks, along with the revelation of relationships between servers. This view is key because it helps users map attacks to various stages of the kill chain, and also helps with consolidating server system statuses under one comprehensive viewpoint. Similar to the previous viewpoint, but now tailored to the traffic that exists amongst intranet servers, is the Servic traffic monitoring capability. All traffic activities can be listed and displayed here, be it the topology amongst all servers, the traffic diagram of an individual server, and others. Understanding the traffic and being able to plot out normal traffic behavior is key to understanding the flow of overall traffic within this network. In order to run, for example, behavior modeling, the baseline behavior must first be learned. The idea is the same when it comes to learning traffic patterns and behavior and deeming which ones are considered the norm. To go through quickly, some other forms of visibility are also available via the way that threat topology can be displayed, along with intranet application analysis to provide security at the web application level layer and intranet risk projection capabilities. Moving on to the forensics portion of capabilities, or loosely, we could call it the understand portion of the road towards security that works. Risk assessment is highly augmented because of SBDS's capability of leveraging rich forensic information. This process is completed in 4 ways. There's threat analysis, which is related to the threat correlation analysis mentioned earlier, where data is digested and more thoroughly understood so that what is spat out as a result of the analysis is much more streamlined and actionable. There's the PCAP forensics, also known as packet capturing for short, which records the flow of data packets, allowing the system to produce a representation of network traffic and patterns for a given segment of time. Then there is the knowledge base, which can provide historical data on past threats and incidents linked with indicators of compromise. By utilizing all the forensics that are available at the Hillstone NDR's disposal, it can figure out which step of the attack kill chain a malicious hacker could be at and thwart the attempts. After all, attackers can be stalked at various stages of the attack kill chain if the proper information is available. To additionally bolster the forensics process, intricate threat behavior details are supplied at every juncture, which can help provide insight into whether or not your assets have been targeted or are currently being targeted via brute force attacks, port scanning, CNC connections, or others. As far as the mitigation capabilities of SBDS, which correspond loosely to the ACT portion of the road towards security that works, the SBDS can mitigate or block threats when used in conjunction with next-gen firewalls, such as Hillstone's next-gen firewalls. The insight gained through the SBDS can be shared with the next-gen firewall in question, and the SBDS can form a block list by adding confirmed attacks to it. This block list can then be synchronized over to the next-gen firewall's allow and block policy list. Alternatively, the SBDS can be linked with iSource, Hillstone's XDR platform. As we've discussed before in previous webinars, iSource, our XDR solution, is able to integrate metadata from all across the security infrastructure and analyze it. The SBDS is one such product that can also be integrated within the overarching XDR solution. By providing crucial data on critical databases and servers to iSource, SBDS helps provide valuable insight into the critical business assets for the XDR solution to analyze and formulate strategies on. With the most recent update of SBDS, a few features have been updated and added. Advanced hardware models have been added, which possess improved hard disk performances, more I/O ports for potential expansion, as well as optimizations for improved performance. On the software side, there are a few new features. First, there's AV and botnet CNC log aggregation capabilities. By aggregating the data, SBDS can prevent data loss, which usually occurs when a large set of data is in question. Being able to query logs and store them is an important capability as well, because said data can be utilized in the future for further analysis, tracing the source of attacks, or even performing provenance analysis down the road. Weak passwords are still much more common than we realize, and it can be a cumbersome task to chase after users to ensure their passwords are up to par. Please remember, admin is not a strong password. As such, the SBDS now possesses the capability of weak password detection. Based on a user-defined set of parameters, SBDS can help automatically ensure this baseline of protection and security is enforced. The final new software feature that we'll mention is the general optimizations to help make the SBDS even easier to use. Our SBDS hasn't just been noted for innovative technology, as proven by our visionary qualification, but also on the whole, per our Gartner Peer Insights qualification, we aim to ensure Hillstone products are easy to use. As such, with this update of SBDS, it has a configuration wizard and a security zone predefined configuration that can simplify the configuration process and improve the deployment efficiency for the devices accordingly. Now we will go through a use case of SBDS. For the use case I'd like to discuss today, we'll look at one of our customers that was a top-tier university, possessing over 25,000 students accessing the campus network for campus resources. The customer had a very flat internal network with just a next-gen firewall established at the perimeter. Once the perimeter was breached, threats could proliferate and freely shift laterally. Naturally, this setup would have some vulnerabilities that could be exploited. Due to the structure of the internal network and the lack of a dedicated solution for critical servers in the data center, internal hosts that have been compromised are difficult to identify and difficult to detect. Finally, the existing next-gen firewall and intrusion prevention system lack the ability to prevent more advanced and unknown threats. I'm going to pause here for a moment to remark on the status of the existing security infrastructure. A security infrastructure is indeed in place, but it's a little bit outdated. Much of the detection is signature-based, and the intricacies and the lack of visibility within the internal network additionally means that the dwell time of threats would be substantial, and it would be difficult for the architecture to adapt quickly and respond to more modernized, complex threats. When the SBDS was deployed, many of the pain points were solved rather quickly, and some additional benefits were brought to the table. For starters, SBDS's comprehensive visibility attained through various dashboard and viewpoints allowed the customer to be able to quickly detect at-risk hosts in the internal network, preventing potential further exposure to critical servers. Additionally, having this visibility and knowledge at the disposal of the security team meant it could implement an agile and adaptable post-mitigation strategy. As stricter compliance requirements were enacted within the higher education vertical, the SBDS remained resilient, being able to seamlessly integrate those requirements, giving the security team one less thing to worry about. Finally, SBDS does an outstanding job from a thought leader perspective by providing education on the importance of securing the intranet in addition to the internet, which more people are usually aware of. Internal networks may feel like they are already safe, but that doesn't mean they can be left unnoticed. Diligent security schemes must maintain visibility within these supposedly secure zones, and a plain perimeter defense will no longer suffice. In effect, deployment of the SBDS helped build more resilience within the university's security infrastructure, helping them prepare for known and unknown threats to come in the future. For the final section before Q&A, we have here a demo that will illustrate some of the capabilities of SBDS version 3.5.
Hello, thank you for joining me, and I would like to introduce you to the Hillstone Server Breach Detection System, also known as SBDS. Hillstone SBDS is an NDR product that detects threat events through collecting various types of data and information, such as metadata, VXLAN, NetFlow, MPLS, and syslog. SBDS employs advanced technologies, including botnet detection, abnormal behavior detection, virus scanning, intrusion detection technology, web attack detection, etc. With over 10 million signatures in antivirus and intrusion signature databases, SBDS can coordinate with threat intelligence to comprehensively detect and analyze threats in the intranet. The antivirus function of SBDS adopts file analysis technology, which can analyze various file types. The signature-based technology allows for reliable intrusion prevention. The botnet detection function leverages the Advanced Domain Generation Algorithm, or DGA, to detect generated domains. The abnormal behavior detection function sets a baseline threshold of what is deemed typical. If events such as port scan attacks or brute force are leveraged and corresponding port numbers are displaying atypical behavior, alerts will be triggered. In response to the intranet security risks, SBDS can provide layered security that works in tandem with our next-gen firewall suite to detect and respond to known and unknown threats. Let's briefly go through the main functions of each module of SBDS. In the Risk Assessment module, SBDS ranks relevant information by importance and level of criticality, such as ranking the number of threat events within 14 days, the risk level of managed assets, and a visualization of trending threat events. In the Security Analysis module, SBDS provides analysis of different asset types in both servers and endpoints. We can also monitor intelligence and vulnerabilities in the cloud and local environment. In the Incident Response module, SBDS can define threat alarm rules, configure email or sound alerts, and enable integration with other security devices. On the System Monitor page within the Incident Response module, we can analyze traffic and applications based on machine learning models. Finally, in the Log and Report module, SBDS can upload logs to a monitoring platform, such as iSource or XDR solution, and generate a comprehensive threat report. Next, let's walk through the core functions of SBDS, including how it leverages machine learning algorithms to learn and automatically establish the traffic baseline, how it detects threats, and how it responds to incidents by automatically delineating appropriate policies to the firewall. First, let's introduce how SBDS does traffic baselining, which is crucial for explaining why SBDS is so efficient at monitoring traffic flow. The traffic baseline is based on a machine learning algorithm, which scrubs through and discovers what is deemed normal traffic trends in the network within 7 to 28 days. It leverages its findings to help detect abnormal changes in the intranet traffic. On the System Monitoring page, we can configure the traffic baseline. To begin, we set the detection sensitivity configuration, which determines baseline's sensitivity relative to traffic changes. The higher the sensitivity, the more privy it is to even the most subtle changes in traffic. Next, the learning period. which is used for setting the learning time range of the baseline. Finally, the baseline, which is the threshold we establish for triggering the learning mechanism of the traffic baseline. When we finish setting the configuration page, we can turn to the traffic baseline page to view the traffic baseline that was previously learned via machine learning algorithms and check the traffic baseline's trend, source IP, port number, and others. Now let's move on to the second part. Let's start with enabling the detection engine, and we'll walk through the process of how to detect threats and how incident response is undertaken both manually and automatically. Let's begin by clicking into the Configuration Management module. In the intrusion detection system, we have both predefined and customized templates. The predefined templates are our recommended configuration to help users unfamiliar with SBDS and its threat detection functions. This metaphorical "fix me" button is what results in security that works. Alternatively, users can also customize their configurations, which will allow them to add features according to their own security needs. After deciding on the engine configuration, we can go to the security analysis page to check the threat events. We have set different labels for the threat events and more information related to the IP of the threat events. SBDS will categorize the threats according to threat intelligence, which will help with threat hunting. SBDS is capable of displaying detailed information regarding threat events. In addition to basic information, it can also show the incident's details, history, and topology. Next, we can enter the incident response module. We have both manual response and auto response options. In the threat alarm rule page for the configuration, we can manually set the source IP, destination IP, threat type, and other information about the incident. Users can choose their preferred alarm, including email alarm or threat sound alarm, which allow users to determine how they receive notifications when threat events occur. As for auto response, we can see the specific rule here on the mitigation page. From now on, linked firewalls can respond automatically to similar incidents. We have now completed the detection and response process. After completing the initial configuration, all response processes will be conducted automatically according to the set configuration moving forward. Thank you for watching this demonstration.
All right, that is the demo that we had to share today regarding SBDS version 3.5. Thank you all for joining us today.